Ever feel like you're drowning in purchase orders in SAP? Today, we're going to look at how to automate that.
We're talking about getting SAP to do the heavy lifting for you, creating those POs directly from purchase requisitions.
We're using Mikko Kwasnot's functional guide as our map for this deep dive.
It's all about taking you from what is this ME59N thing to how can I use this to make my life easier?
So if you're ready to ditch some of that manual work and get those POs flowing automatically, you're in the right place.
Let's jump in.
All right, first things first. How does this automation actually work?
ME59N, that's the magic transaction code. You're basically telling SAP, hey, take these PRs and turn them into POs for me.
And on that initial screen, there are a bunch of ways to narrow down exactly which PRs you want to convert.
Right, you can filter by your organizational structure. So think purchasing group, division, that sort of thing.
And you can get even more specific, right? You can filter by like PR number ranges, the materials involved, or even a specific date range.
It's super flexible. And you can even tell SAP to create separate POs based on certain criteria. Like maybe you want to keep different divisions on different POs.
Very handy. Now, what about those inevitable errors? Things that SAP just can't process automatically.
There's an option for that. Ignore incorrect items. Basically, SAP will create POs for everything it can and just flag the ones it couldn't handle.
So you can deal with those errors later without holding up the whole process.
Exactly. And before you even go live, there's a test mode.
Oh, yeah, that's essential. So you can see exactly what SAP would do without actually creating any POs.
It's like a preview, so no surprises. And for those who love a good log file, there's a detailed log option.
So that'll tell you exactly what was created and why anything failed, right?
Precisely. If you're running it online, you can just double-click on an error to see the details. Super convenient. And there are a couple ways to actually run the transaction. You can go through the SAP menu, or you can just enter ME59N directly.
But this isn't some magic trick, right? There are certain things that need to be set up beforehand for this to work.
Oh, absolutely. The most important thing is each item on those PRs needs to have a source of supply assigned. Think of it like SAP needs to know where to get the stuff.
So that's things like contracts, purchasing info records, or maybe just a preferred vendor that's set up for that material.
Exactly. And it has to be clear-cut, no ambiguity. If SAP can't figure out where to get something, it's going to throw an error.
Makes sense. And there's also that automatic PO indicator, right?
Oh, that's crucial. That needs to be active in the master data, both for the vendor and the material.
So if you're thinking about using this, that's definitely something to check first.
Absolutely. All right, so we've talked about how it works and what needs to be set up. But what's the real benefit here? Is it just saving a few clicks?
I mean, saving clicks is always nice, but it's much bigger than that.
Right. It's about saving serious time and boosting efficiency for the whole procurement process. Less manual work means faster turnaround times.
And fewer errors, right? Because let's face it, we all make mistakes when we're doing things manually.
Absolutely. Automation takes human error out of the equation.
So what are some of the common things that can trip this process up? What causes those errors we keep talking about?
Master data issues are a big one. Maybe a vendor gets blocked, or there's no current price for a material.
And even something simple like missing information on the PR itself, like the account assignment, can cause a failure.
Absolutely. Now, when an error does pop up, SAP gives you a couple of options for handling it. You can either omit those incorrect items, or you can stop the whole process.
Right. So with omission of incorrect items, SAP just creates POs for everything else and lets you deal with the errors later.
This can be really efficient, but there's a potential downside. Kwasnot points out that you can end up with logically linked items on different POs. Like imagine a pump and its sprayer ending up on separate orders.
Yeah, that could lead to confusion with the vendor and potentially even logistical headaches.
The other option, processing of incorrect items, means if there's any error at all, no POs get created.
So that keeps all the related items together, which could be helpful for things like minimum order quantities.
Exactly. Plus, it simplifies communication with the vendor.
But it also means more rework, right? You have to go back and fix all the errors before you can create any POs.
Right, it's a trade-off. You have to weigh the pros and cons for your specific situation.
Now, what happens to those purchase requisitions that fail? Do they just disappear into the SAP void?
Not at all. They get listed in a protocol, and you can access them through ME52N.
So you can manually process them, figure out what went wrong, fix it, and then hopefully get them converted.
Exactly. You might find the vendor was blocked, or maybe the price for an item needs updating.
So considering all this, when does it really make sense to automate this process?
Well, if your SAP system is well maintained, with clean master data and reliable sources of supply, then automation can be a huge win.
So lots of contracts, purchasing info records, all that good stuff.
Right, but if your system is a bit messier, with fewer established sources of supply, manual processing might actually be easier.
So the key takeaway here is that automating purchase order creation can be a game changer, but it really depends on your specific setup.
You need those solid foundations in place, and you need to understand those error handling options and how they can impact your process.
For our listeners out there, here's something to think about. Take a look at your own SAP system. How clean is your data? How reliable are your sources of supply? Could ME59N be the key to unlocking a smoother, more efficient procurement process for your organization?
It's definitely worth exploring.
Absolutely. Dive into ME59N and see what it can do for you.
That's it for our deep dive today.
Thanks for joining us.
See you next time.
Bye.